translation for Causton Rufu. So again, this is another way, isn't it? We make the flag of Causton Rufu fly in our hearts in morning gongyo every day. Then he says, all phenomena are essentially eternal. The entity of human life, he says, throughout its cycle of birth and death, is neither born nor destroyed. Nothing can destroy the entity of our lives. Nothing can destroy life itself. All that can be destroyed is the material, physical aspect of life. Life is eternal. The entity of ourselves and all phenomena is eternally Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. Therefore, when we chant and fuse our lives with the gonzo, we are fused with the eternal life of the universe itself. So I often quote what Sensei said in California years ago at the university there, when he said that until people understand that life is eternal, we'll never be rid of the three poisons. Greed and anger, competitiveness, mercilessness. This is all due to people grasping everything they can while the going's good, because they don't understand that life is eternal. Once you understand that life is eternal, then your basic values in life change very much. You view things in a very different way. What was important no longer has importance. What may have been unimportant becomes important. So if you don't understand that life is eternal, please chant to do so, because that's a very important part of the Buddhist teaching. Right.
It was this most august and precious Lotus Sutra which in the past I trampled underfoot, scowled upon in disgust, and refused to believe in. In one way or another, I maliciously ridiculed people who studied the Lotus Sutra and who taught it to at least one other person, thereby passing on the law for the future. In addition, I did everything I could to hinder them from embracing the Sutra by asserting that they could practice it in the next life, but it would not benefit them in this life. Slanderous acts such as these have now brought on the many severe persecutions that I have suffered in my lifetime. Because I once disparaged the highest of all sutras, I am now looked down upon and my words go unheeded. The Hiyu chapter states that because one slandered the Lotus Sutra in the past, other people will have no sympathy for him, even though he sincerely tries to be friendly with them.
So here Nichiren Daishonin is explaining for our benefit karma and the strictness of the law of cause and effect. And the fact that if we slander, inevitably we will get retribution. So, as the original Buddha, as the person who started everything, the person who was self-enlightened, he was never taught about Nam-myoho Renge-kyo by anyone else. He had to, of course, be born into a situation where everyone was practicing the wrong teachings, or teachings unsuitable for that particular time, didn't he? So in fact, Nichiren Daishonin was born to a fisherman's family and went to a temple which was an absolute mixture of all sorts of different beliefs and approaches to Buddhism. It was originally a Tentai temple, following the Tentai sect, and then someone had introduced a bit of Nembutsu, and so on. It was a higgledy-piggledy of all sorts of different things that were popular at that particular time. But of course, through having that karma, through chanting the Nembutsu, Namamida Butsu, etc., etc., through producing slander in that way, he was able to teach us about slander and karma and the way it works. If he'd been a saint, it would be not so difficult, not so easy for us to understand what he was teaching. But he went through it himself. And of course, this, what he went through was very severe. He was the person making the first move against an incredibly powerful devilish force in life. So in the Sado Gosho, Nichiren Daishonin said, Nichiren has denounced the enemies of the Lotus Sutra so severely that all 8 sufferings descended on him at once, instead of over many different lifetimes. He took the whole brunt of it in his own life. And of course this is why we're so grateful to him. This is also why we're so grateful to Mr. Makiguchi and Mr. Toda and Sensei, because they've taken a great brunt of the sufferings through their particular responsibility for Causton Rufu, which covers such a huge field on our behalf, because they have been through such sufferings. Ours are relatively minor. They got the momentum of the movement of the law, the movement of Causton Rufu underway. So we also, of course, have to carry karma. We wouldn't be any use as Bodhisattvas of the earth unless we did. And Nichiren Daishonin explains that eternally, or in the eternal past, we promised to appear in the age of Mappo, filled with the three poisons, and then to prove the power of the Gonzen to others. Okay.
As a votary of the Lotus Sutra, you suffered severe persecutions, yet still you came to my assistance. In the Hoshi chapter, the Buddha states, I will send priests, nuns, and lay men and women to make offerings to the teacher of the Lotus Sutra and hear his preaching of the law. If you are not one of these laymen, then whom else could the passage possibly refer to? You have not only heard the law, but have taken faith in it, and since then have followed it without turning aside. How wondrous, how extraordinary. Then how can there be any doubt that I, Nichiren, am the teacher of the Lotus Sutra? I have fulfilled the word of the Buddha. He is the envoy of the Buddha sent to carry out the Buddha's work. I have propagated the 5 characters of the Daimoku which were entrusted to Bodhisattva Jogyo when the 2 Buddhas sat together within the treasure tower. Does this not indicate that I am an envoy of Bodhisattva Jogyo? Moreover, following me as a votary of the Lotus Sutra, you also tell others of this law. What else could this be but the transmission of the mystic law?
So here, Nichiren Daishonin is really, again, encouraging Shijo Kingo and all his other followers. He's saying, I've proved all the predictions of Shakyamuni Buddha to be true. Truly, I am the Buddha of this age of Mappo. So if I am the Buddha of this age of Mappo, and you are following me and chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, you can't be anything else but a Bodhisattva of the earth. However much you may sometimes wish to resist it, or doubt it, or whatever. To be able to chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, one is a Bodhisattva of the earth. The people that rise up in countless numbers in order to spread the true law in this age of Mappo. And of course, in the Gosho it also says, since you're a Bodhisattva of the earth, there is not the slightest doubt that you have been a disciple of the Buddha from the remotest part. This is the family or connection of what's known as Kuan Ganja, the past, the eternal past without beginning. So this is our role in life, to appear in this age. Everyone who appears in this age in the world, in this age of Mappo, are potentially bodhisattvas of the earth. This is in the nature of life and the development and functioning of the universe. Mappo lasts, the Lotus Sutra says, for 10,000 years and on into eternity. Everyone born in those latter years of this earth's life, which of course goes on for billions of years, are bodhisattvas of the earth, are people who are potentially able to chant the Daimoku as soon as their karma allows them to. And through that, to activate the life force that is necessary to keep this a vibrant planet in the universe itself until it finally reaches its natural conclusion of life. So this is the task of us and others that follow us. Then there are 2 final paragraphs, and as time's getting short, I won't ask Ricky to read them. They're very famous, and probably you know them and understand them already. But he's saying to Shijo Kingo, don't worry about my persecutions. Please tell the other followers not to worry about them. These are inevitable, just exactly what Shakyamuni predicted. So don't give up. Whatever happens, carry on with your practice and prove the power of the Gonzen to everyone you know. So again, this is an important point for us. How often do we feel, because I'm going through difficulties, I can't shakabuku anybody? How can anyone, relate to Buddhism if I'm going through such a struggle myself? And we think that the only way we can shakabuku at discussion meetings and so on is by talking about benefits. But the truth of it is that often guests at discussion meetings don't believe the benefits anyway. They think it's just a fairy story. But if you talk about your sufferings frankly, and they see your fighting spirit to overcome it through the power of the Gonzon, that is the most deeply moving thing of all. That's the truth of it. So we really need to remember that point. It's not only benefits that really enables us to shakabuku. It's our fighting spirit. It's keeping the flag of Kosamufu flying in our hearts, isn't it? That's what people see and feel. And they think, this is incredible, the spirit of these people. Maybe I ought to try it. And then finally, he gives beautiful advice to Shijo Kinga and his wife. I always end every wedding with quoting this particular paragraph, because it's so perfect, and it's beautiful literature. And he's saying to Shijo Kinga, you tell your wife and explain everything that I've said in this Gosho, because it's most important that you're really in absolute unity together in order to win this battle of Kosamufu. Then you can be like a sun and a moon. Always one of you will be lighting the path ahead. Even if the other may be a bit down, you can pull each other up. So this means respect and good communication, doesn't it? We need to know when our partner is suffering or going through difficulties, and to understand those sufferings and difficulties to help them. And then like a pair of eyes, this is again good communication between a couple. Through considerateness, consideration for each other, and good communication, they can act like a pair of eyes. Their wisdom, rising from each one of them, because of the difference in the character and nature of man and woman, can provide perfect coverage for the future through those eyes. And then like the two wings of a bird, united in practice, real itai dosha between a husband and wife. If only one of them is practicing and the other is always wobbling, then inevitably one of the wings isn't working, is it? And the bird will be wobbling about or flying round and round in circles, getting nowhere. But through united effort to the Gonzon, a couple can be so happy and achieve so much together. This is the truth of it. Ricky would agree. Right? I didn't say that sarcastically, I know it's true. So, just to conclude, the whole of Buddhism is in this Gosho. It's a good one to read every so often, to remind oneself. And overall, of course, Nichiren Daishonin is basing everything on this principle of, which is called in Japanese, Ninpo Ika. That is to say, the oneness of the person and the Lord. The Gonzon embodies that oneness. We also struggle to embody that principle of trying to make ourselves one with the Lord. So of course, strictly there's only one person and one Lord, Nichiren Daishonin and Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. But through our efforts, to relate to Nichiren Daishonin, in other words, to relate to the Gonzon, we also struggle gradually to achieve oneness of person and Lord. So don't be impatient. It takes lots of years. But one great thing about it is that we constantly see that we are progressing. Never a year passes that we can't look back and say, my God, I've really achieved something this year. Every single year is like that in this amazing practice. So thank you very much indeed, and sorry to delay all of it. Just do some show.